Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everyone here again, and we're right at 1:30 here. If there's anyone else that needs to be part of the meeting here, I'll just wait like 10 seconds and we'll get started here for sure. All right, thanks everyone. So our second meeting here today. I'm just going to remind folks here of our format here for today's meeting here. Again, our chair, Cynthia, was not able to attend here today, so I was asked to go ahead and facilitate today's meeting as a substitute chair. And our meeting is being recorded here for today. The second meeting is to review the board's April 2nd, 2026 recommendation that we provided to the ACCD secretary and to ratify or modify that recommendation. So that's our purpose for being here today. Again, just for folks who would be participating here in our meeting here in the public part of things or in the board portion here, just request everyone remain on mute if not recognized to speak. So if you need to speak, just please raise your hand and I'll pay attention the best I can for that. The board will accept public comment at the start, and in the remaining meeting, the board will not accept further comments from the public. As a reminder, the board's not required to respond directly to comments, and the public will have 5 minutes for each individual to provide comment for today's meeting. Are there any changes or amendments to today's agenda from the board? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open things to public comment. Any public comment? Yes, please go ahead.
All right, we're on.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Again, my name's Steve Whitaker.
Thank you, Steve.
The agenda item before the board authorizes you to ratify or amend your April 2nd recommendation. On April 7th, I wrote Chair Gubb and every board member asking that the board use that authority to reconsider the recommendation to fund Montpelier on its merits. The grounds for that request are what I want to speak to now. Before I address the substance, I want to note that the public participation failures in this process didn't start on April 2nd. HUD regulations require that a complete application be made publicly available before the required pre-submission public hearing. That hearing was held by the Montpelier City Council on February 25th. What was available through the city clerk prior to that meeting was an incomplete draft. The grantee roles and capacity section, which establishes the applicant's capacity to execute the grant, listed to be determined or TBD for every single responsible person across all 17 roles. The project timeline required by the application was left entirely blank. The public was asked to comment on a project with no identified responsible persons and no project schedule. That's the first ground of a compliance challenge filed with HUD on March 8th. And it establishes that what this board experienced on April 2nd was not an isolated lapse, but a consistent pattern. 3 problems in the record. First, the urgent needs certification. It was signed on February 18th by Montpelier's new city manager on her second day in the role. It attests to a serious and immediate threat to public health and welfare. At the April 2nd meeting, your own agency's grant analyst stated on the record that construction is not anticipated to begin until late 27 or early 28. Those statements cannot both be true. The 27-28 estimate is itself optimistic. The brownfield supplemental site investigation hasn't even begun. No work plan yet exists because the remediation standard, the decision that controls what the investigation looks for and to what depth, has never been made available. No corrective action plan exists. No site plan exists. Country Club Road soils contain documented exceedances of mercury, lead, arsenic, and heptachloroepoxide, all potent neurotoxins with particular risk to children and seniors. Turtle Island's Children's Center now holds a 10-year lease in the middle of this site. The children conduct outdoor activities on uncharacterized, contaminated soil. The center was placed there on an emergency basis after losing its prior lease and reports approximately $500,000 in recent investment. Remediation may require relocation, yet no relocation option has been identified. Realistically, no construction really begins here before 29 or 2030. The urgent need certification is false by 3 to 4 years on the most charitable reading. Secondly, the LMI benefit claim. The board packet identifies Downstreet Housing as the anticipated affordable housing delivery partner. No developer has been selected. No partnership with Downstreet exists. The LMI denominator this application's national objective eligibility rests on is a question mark in your own staff's performance table. Third, plan conformity. In October 2024, Vermont's Community Investment Board unanimously revoked Montpelier's Growth Center designation for Country Club Road. The specific finding, the municipal plan contained no capital budget and program for the site, a required element under 24 VSA 4382. The city produced since a new city plan adopted in July 2025. That plan's entire CCR directive is one sentence pointing via a hyperlink to a consultant's report. That consultant's report is not part of the city plan incorporated by reference. The same deficiency is present unchanged. That finding was made by a sister state body before this board ever voted. HUD is now reviewing it with a 15-day response clock running from yesterday. Your staff has prepared a motion for this meeting calling for unconditional ratification as presented on April 2nd. No conditions, no reference to the federal compliance review. I'm asking the board to consider an alternative. Ratify with a condition that the secretary not make an award until HUD completes its review or decline to ratify pending that resolution. The city of Barre submitted a competing application in this same round. This board knows its own docket. If there are applicants with honest certifications, completed planning, and projects that are genuinely ready, this program's scarce disaster recovery sources belong there. I want to flag one more issue the board should consider. This final round draws only from the remaining housing pool. The planning and infrastructure funding categories were exhausted in prior rounds. Yet this application funds water and sewer pipes and road improvements. The project description itself states that the housing development is not part of the funding request. Paying for infrastructure out of the housing pool requires the application to satisfy LMI housing benefit requirements. And the way it does that is by taking a 300-unit development and counting only 24 of them as affordable units for the beneficiary population, then claiming 100% LMI benefit on that basis. The board's own staff performance table shows question marks for every metric beyond those 24 units. This is an infrastructure project dressed as a housing project to access the only money left in the program. That contortion should give this board pause, both about the integrity of the application and about the precedent it sets for how disaster recovery housing funds can be used. Montpelier owns 133 acres of elevated flood-safe land with real long-term resilience potential. That potential is genuine, but it can't be realized without the planning work this application pretends has been done, and it hasn't been. The right outcome for Montpelier.
Steve, 1 second, just pause for just a moment. We're past 5 minutes, which is okay. I'll go ahead and give you another minute to conclude your public comments. Will that work for you?
Yeah, I'm less than that. The right outcome for Montpelier is not this award on these terms. It's a commitment from the city council to complete the statutory master plan this property has always required. Until that work is done, the honest answer is that Montpelier is not ready, and this program should not reward a city for years of planning failures while other communities with shovel-ready projects wait. So I ask you to consider the reputational risk to this board and whether we're potentially doing a rubber stamp process and overlooking real serious documented flaws in the process, which HUD will probably discover even if you don't. Thank you.
Okay. Steve, thank you so much. We appreciate all the detail of your concerns and your recommendation here as well. Is there anyone else present? I can't see. It's just a small little square in the room for any additional public comment.
No one present in the room.
Great. Alex, thank you. Anyone online? Great. Hearing no one, I'll go ahead and bring our public comment piece of our meeting to a close. And I'm going to go ahead and invite Devin Hanna to present the board packet and staff analysis. It'd be a fine review for us here. Devin, go ahead.
Thanks, John. I'm going to share some slides with you all.
Please, thank you.
All right, can everyone see my slides?
Yes, I believe
Excellent.
so.
Okay, let's see here. All right. I think everyone's aware of the agenda. We've had our public comment period. I'm going to give a brief overview of the proposals we have in front of us today, and then the consent agenda. I'm happy to answer any and all questions that the board may have, and then we can have a discussion afterwards. Just to give a high-level overview of the funding request that we received 5 applications in this round 2 of CDBG-DR funding. We have the Plainfield East Village expansion requesting $5.2 million. We have the City of Montpelier Country Club Road requesting $5.225. We have the North Branch Resiliency Project presented by Downstreet Housing and Community Development requesting $2.5 million. And we have 2 proposals from the City of Barry, one for buyouts and elevations just above $5 million, and another proposal from the City of Barry at 1.4 for acquisitions and redevelopment. As I go along, board members, if you have a question, please just raise your hand and I can pause. Also happy to answer any questions once we get through these. So first, to discuss the Downstreet North Branch Resiliency Project. This project involves a full alternatives and structural analysis to evaluate long-term flood resiliency options for the 4 sites in the North Branch apartment portfolio. This portfolio consists of 45 units. Following the alternatives analysis, selected alternatives will move to implementation. This project has $7.8 million in other resources pending. All right, I see no questions. Next, from the City of Montpelier, we have the Country Club Road proposal, specifically the infrastructure extension to Country Club Road. This proposal involves the construction of sewer and water infrastructure in support of the future construction of a housing development, of which 24 units will be reserved for low and moderate income individuals at affordable rents. Additionally, Country Club Road will be regraded and a bike lane and sidewalk will be added. The construction of the housing units themselves is not part of the funding request. Rather, this is a requirement of the developer to be selected. This project has $5.8 million in other resources committed, including MBRC funds and a municipal contribution. Do I see, Liz, I saw you waving a finger. Do you have a question? Okay, I'm going to move along.
Sorry, I was just saying that nothing to do with the meeting. Sorry.
Great, thanks. Sorry. Let's keep going. Plainfield East Village expansion presented by the Plainfield Community Development Corporation. This proposal involves the construction of water, wastewater, electrical, stormwater, and road infrastructure in support of 20 new housing units. Of those 20 units, 14 will be made available and will be affordable to low and moderate income individuals. As with the Country Club Road proposal, the housing construction funding for the housing construction is not included in this funding request. Rather, that will be provided for by the developers. This project has $8.4 million in other resources pending. Moving on, first we have the City of Barry's proposal for buyouts and elevations. This involves buyouts of 9 properties. Once the buyout properties are acquired by the city, they will be remediated as necessary for environmental conditions recognized in the environmental review process. After remediation, if necessary, the city will then maintain the buyout sites as green space for perpetuity. Additionally, as an element of this proposal, the city has proposed residential elevations. This involves elevating 3 single-family homes and 1 accessory dwelling unit. And there are no other resources listed for this proposal. Last, from the city of Barry, we have a proposal for acquisitions and redevelopments. This proposal involves the acquisition of 4 damaged properties as part of a redevelopment plan for the city's north end. This proposal includes acquisition and then demolition and removal of the existing structures, environmental site assessments, and site remediation if necessary. Following the demolition of these sites, the city will prepare them for future redevelopments. However, no redevelopment plans were proposed in the scope of work, and this project has no other resources. I'm going to pause there. Do we have any questions regarding the proposals in front of the board today?
Any questions from the board for any of the proposals that have been shared with us? Not seeing any. Devin, go ahead.
Let's move along. Okay, so now to discuss funding recommendations for round 2. In the rightmost column, you will see the staff funding recommendations. What we are recommending is funding the Plainfield East Village expansion at the full ask of $5,218,236. We are also suggesting that we fund the Montpelier infrastructure extension to Country Club Road proposal at $5 million, and we do not recommend funding for the other 3 proposals. What this consent agenda would then lead to is $4.2 million of funding to be retained for a round 3 of funding. This would be housing only, and we will have details for that if the board does choose to recommend this consent agenda in the next couple of weeks. I will pause there and turn it over to John.
Devin, thank you so much. We appreciate the detailed summary that we were provided in our last board meeting here for sure. So thank you. Any questions anyone has? I'm just going to ask one more time to be sure. Just raise your hand. Okay. So we would, at our last meeting, we had accepted this recommendation here, and we would need a motion to act on this. We would need a motion here that the Vermont Community Development Review Board accept the consent agenda as presented at the April 2nd, 2026 Vermont Community Development Board meeting, and ratify the recommendation to the secretary. So that would be the motion for us to accept the consent agenda as presented. We would need someone to make that motion, please.
John, this is Lisa. I'll make that motion.
Lisa,
Second.
Thank you so much. And the second is from
John.
John. Great. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and again request a roll call vote here. So Murray, you're kind of first on my screen here at the bottom here. So you need to respond with either a yes, no, or abstain.
As it should be that I go first. Thank you. I'm voting yes.
Very good. David?
I vote yes.
Good. John?
Yes.
And Liz?
Yes.
And Lisa?
Yes.
And Angus?
Yes.
Okay. And John Kosenska votes yes as well. Okay. So we have a unanimous vote, positive vote here for us to accept the consent agenda as was made in the motion. Very good. Anything else for the board?
This is Maura. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
There's a motion to adjourn the meeting. Need a second?
Second.
Second from John B. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. I can see you all.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Great. Thank you all so very much. We appreciate you attending today's meeting on short notice, and wish you all a wonderful remainder of the week and a happy weekend. And the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, John.